Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Screen Sagas. I'm your host Nicole, and today I'm talking about the show from Season 3, Episode 9, entitled Revelations, Chapter 1. Revelations, I do need to brush up on my Bible, but I believe that book of the Bible, it's like either the last book in the Bible or close to it, and it's supposed to be like the end of time. Now, I don't know if the whole book is about the end of times, but I do believe the end of times comes from that book. If my mom is listening, she would be very disappointed that I don't have more details than that. But let's go ahead and get into the show. This is my instant cast. I just finished watching. As I told you guys, from now on, I'm just going to do instant cast and give my immediate thoughts. It is Monday night. I had to hurry up and watch because I'm going to see spoilers before I can watch it. So let me hurry up and get it done. Great episode. I'm frustrated but excited, but just also frustrated. Every time someone reveals something, I'm like, wait, they didn't know that already? Oh, wait. But no one knows this other detail to this part of the story because no one has told each other anything. Oh, it's frustrating. All right. I did jot down just different people's names. Remember talk about this, remember talk about that. But here we go. I want to talk about Jim. I was so ready to see Jim be an asshole, especially when he went to confront Randall, when Julie said she went to the woods with Randall, and she's like, Dad, it wasn't like that, chill out. And when he went to Randall, I was like, ugh, I was already mocking, what is Jim going to do? He's going to hit Randall as soon as Randall opens the door. But he was chill. He was calm, so I think hearing the advice that I believe Henry gave him and kind of Jade gave him as well last week, even though I was sort of dismissing or not agreeing with the advice that Henry gave him, because, well, not necessarily advice, but I didn't like how Henry handled it because he gave him alcohol when that's one of his fears is of becoming alcoholic like his dad. But either way, it worked. Later on, Henry does tell Tabitha, yo, I'm sorry. I haven't been listening to you. I've been dismissing you. And if what's going on right now with you has a remote chance of us getting home, I got your back. I'm going to follow through. No more pushback. No more none of that. I'm all in. So I was like, wow, did the writers change Jim's character mid-season? They're like, oh shit, or not even mid-season, end of season. Maybe they're watching, I don't know when this was taped. I don't know if they tape all episodes at once, but Jim has been getting on people's nerves. And I think they're like, wait a minute, Jim is supposed to be our hero. Jim is supposed to be our Jack. Shepard from Lost. But no, I think Boyd is really their Jack, but I don't know. Maybe Jim is supposed to be their Sawyer. So in that case, he's going right along with that attitude. And how Sawyer, we all end up loving Sawyer in the end. So I don't know, maybe that's where they're looking at it from that standpoint, because I've seen so many forums and reviews and different things online where people are not fucking with Jim. They're really not fucking with the whole Matthews family, but they really don't like Jim. So I was very happy to see that he came about. He's a changed man. We get a quick scene of Sara. Sarah's hearing those voices again. She's screaming, ah, and I'm not here to make fun of her. They're slowly turning me against the Sara hate, mainly because I've been watching Homeland, not to get off subject, but I was thinking about Homeland. I'm like, Brody was a villain, but he was also a victim. And, people don't have to just be one thing. And as much as I've always said I do not like the character Sara of what she did, and she's just annoying to me, I am starting to look at her a little differently. She is a victim. She's also a villain. She also still, did lie, cheat, steal, whatever to try to get Ethan to kill him. So forgiveness is not all the way there, and maybe because we have a new villain to go after, the police lady, not even trying to remember her name. But yeah, so Sara hearing those voices and immediately going over to find Ellis and Boyd to tell them what she heard the next day made me kind of turn around a little bit on her. Okay, Sara, you're slowly winning me over. We're not there yet, but just keep up the good work and we'll see what we can do in season 4. All right, once again, victim and villain. Well, no, I can't even call this person a victim. Right now they're a villain but also maybe a hero. I don't know. Like, they warm this character up to us so much that it's so hard to now, like, just look at what they're doing and only think bad, because we fall in love with this character. We like this character. I won't even say we fall in love. And I'm talking about Elgin here. Like, Elgin, you're just pissing me off. Like, it's like we're rooting for you. We were all freaking rooting for you. When you first were introduced, you threw up on Rando. We forgave. We're like, fuck Rando. Who cares? You said, hey, turn around. We're like, yo, this is the character to follow. Then you start having those dreams. You almost got drowned while you were freaking in your sleep. Like, poor Elgin. Then we start seeing little other things. Okay, Elgin, talk to people. Tell him what you're seeing. He didn't really say much. Now he's gone full-blown kidnapper. And I don't know. There's that saying, does the end justify the means? I guess maybe we'll have to see. Maybe next week I'll be like, oh, Elgin, I forgive Elgin because he was right in what he did. But I can only speak from what I see so far. And this, manipulation, this lying, you're sitting up here, I'm trying to gather my thoughts, with Ellis, acting like you're trying to find his wife when you literally have his wife kidnapped. Like, why would you do something like that? Not to mention, he volunteered to go with Ellis, right? Like, am I remember that correctly? He was like, yo, you want me to, that's some sick shit. That's some, like, scary movie, like, that's some serial killer shit where they come to the funeral of the person they killed, or they come back to the crime scene and watch the police do their investigative work. That's what Elgin's doing right now. So I hope we see something later on that could be like, oh, Nicole, you were tripping. Like, Elgin really, yeah, it seemed like he was kidnapping her, but he was really helping her. And a part of me, they built his character up so good. He seems so innocent. He seems kind of like a child, like Julie, like maybe a young adult. Maybe he's a little older than Julie. So it's like part of me is still holding out hope that this is going somewhere. We'll have to see. But his whole kidnapping Fatima, I mean, things seemed to go up a little bit more when he was like feeding her the blood and she seemed to be enjoying it. But she's telling you, I don't want to be here. And you really haven't explained anything to her. You just keep saying the baby. She was told she's not pregnant. Yes, now her stomach is getting big, but she's scared out of her mind. So why don't you at least go and talk to Ellis and say, Ellis, like, hey, I have your wife, but let me just tell you everything. And once again, maybe next week we'll see something different and we'll go, oh, that's why Elgin couldn't say anything. Because we even see the monster lady keeping her quiet, excuse me. So it's like, who's good? Who is the monster lady good? Why she's trying to keep Fatima quiet? Or the children monster good because they actually sent Julie and Tabitha there? I mean, I don't know if they sent them there for Fatima or if they sent them there for Victor. I don't know. But who's the, like, which one of these things, these beings are good? All right, Donna's taking it pretty hard. I love that little flashbacks we got from season 1 during Happier Times. I believe it was the same night that the colony house got attacked. So maybe episode 7. I remember that because I remember the first time watching that episode, my mouth to the floor. Like, what the heck? Like, I can still talk about the episode. Like, what the heck is going on? The guy opens the window, da-da-da. But that was on Fatima's 1-year anniversary. And seeing the love that she has for Fatima, even though last week she was like, yo, she got to go. She got to put somewhere else. And she was not saying it to be mean, but she was saying, I have to look out for the wealth and health, not wealth, but the health and well-being of everyone in Colony House. As much as I love Fatima, she's a danger to other people and potentially herself. So getting that flashback of Donna, it was very sweet. I enjoyed it. Now, one thing that happened with Donna, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but like she had the picture of her and her sister and she's like staring at the picture. And there's this whole discourse online on, did we ever see the scene of the sister, or did Donna just tell a really good story and we all imagined it in our head? And they're like, people said they've gone back and no, we don't see that scene. I mentioned it here saying I see the scene in my head. So maybe that's all the place I've seen it. My imagination does go wild. So who knows? But my thing that at least brought it to my attention, it's a small thing. I'm not trying to nitpick, I swear. But I was like, why would she have a picture of her and her sister? Like, how? Like, weren't they out camping or hunting? You just carrying around this 8x10. It was not 8x10, but it was at least a 5x7. And so I can see if it was like a little wallet size picture, maybe that'd be believable. But in the digital age that we're in, Donna hasn't been there long. It seems like we're in modern times. Why would she be having a hard copy picture of her and her sister? Maybe they stopped at the sister's house and she's like, girl, let me get you this picture in the frame. I wanted to give it to you last time we saw each other. I don't know. It just brought it up. I was like, that picture should not exist. And I know I'm talking crap because I believe Tenchin and them have pictures too, but I think they're smaller. But yeah, I call them the question walking around with the 5x7, like in a frame at that. I mean, maybe the frame wasn't there because maybe they found the frame on site. But let's just say there was no frame. To be walking around with a 5x7, please tell me who does. Who does that? I don't even know people walking around with wallet-sized pictures anymore. And if you do, that's perfectly fine. That's reasonable. But a 5x7 just in your car in the glove department? Okay. Now, I want to talk about Donna's conversation with police officer lady. This lady, okay, I didn't want to go too hard because I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone listening or there's not many listeners, but whatever the case, to police officers overall. But I had enough with her attitude. She's up here, I'm a police officer. Bitch, that is the wrong defense right now. Like, look how out of control you are. You're so emotionally wrapped up. You get angry at a moment's notice. Not to mention, in the real world, police do not have a good reputation, and you're like literally feeding into that stereotype. Yelling every minute, you need to tell me I'm a police officer. Bitch, you are a police officer. You are not a detective. What, now all of a sudden you got detective skills? We know what training you guys get. You've already killed someone. You just got there. You already killed someone. I let that slide because I understood the circumstances. But what I am going to say now to this young police officer, she is young. Maybe she's a newbie, a rookie. Chill the F out. Because, yes, you would think presence of police in this situation would actually be a little bit more comforting. But she's doing the opposite of that. She is not protecting. She is not serving. She is not doing any of that. She's out here, brashing out. I don't know if that is even the word I'm looking for. But she needs to chill. And Donna's saying, I'll tell you when we get back. Donna don't tell this lady shit. Her emotions, she can't keep in control. She probably go and tell everyone what you tell her. She's a liability. That's what she is. I will remember her name if she makes it past season 3. Other than that, she's just a police officer. I don't know. Bad attitude. Bad attitude. All right. Boyd and Kenny. Okay, actually, I want to talk real quickly about Boyd and Ellis. When Boyd eventually tells Ellis about everything, and Ellis is like, who else knows? And when he says Christy, he doesn't seem to mind because, yeah, Christy's a resident doctor. Of course, she would know. But when he said Kenny, I saw like a little sadness in Ellis's eyes. Like, Kenny is the replacement son or something. And no diss, because we know it's not even like that with Boyd. Boyd loves his son. But at the same time, after what happened with the mom in season 1 and Boyd having to kill the mom to protect Ellis stopped talking to his dad and cut him off from his life and was very rude to him pretty much all throughout season 1, potentially even season 2. Hell, maybe even some of this season, right? So, yeah, not saying that, okay, since Ellis wasn't talking to Boyd found a replacement son. It's not like that, but Ellis wasn't talking to his dad. And his dad did end up getting close to Kenny due to this. Him and Kenny worked together. He was his deputy. I know for sure, actually, that Boyd doesn't love Kenny more than Ellis. I mean, it's a different type of love. It's, he probably looks at him as a second son of some sort. But I don't know. I saw the jealousy in Ellis's eyes. And I'm like, yeah, Ellis is young, but he's not that damn young. But he still is the reason why there's this rift. Or why there is this emotional disconnect and how Kenny is able to know more about his dad than he does because you made it that way. You saw, it's not like your dad just killed your mom willy-nilly. And you're like, Dad, why did you do that? You know why he did it. You were right there. You saw what he did. You saw how it hurt him. And instead of being there for him, you were a grown adult. Instead of being there for him as a comfort, because you can comfort a parent, he shut him out. And in Boyd's probably worst time of his life. And yeah, it was the worst time of Ellis's life too. And that's when they should have leaned on each other. So once again, I'm not trying to talk shit about Ellis, but I am saying like you need to chill out and kind of respect that friendship and relationship that him and Kenny have. But either way, when Boyd talks to Kenny and he's like, hey, I want you to take the sheriff badge or whatever if I, become incapacitated. I don't know the word I'm trying to find. If I come, like, I can't walk, I can't talk, whatever, or I die. The word is there. I don't know the word. I'm trying to think. It's at the tip of my tongue. Either way. And Kenny's like, nah, but I will be your deputy again. Like, you keep your badge. And I like that conversation. It seems like Kenny's slowly forgiving because Boyd is telling him, like, when you're in charge, you have to make decisions. People are not always going to like it. You're just making the best choice that you have. And sometimes all choices are shitty choices and you have to make whichever the best of the choices that you got. So I get it. I like that conversation. And I'm glad that they're healing because we like them together. I like Boyd and Kenny together. And maybe we'll eventually see Boyd, Kenny, and not Ellis. Yeah, Boyd, Kenny, and Ellis. Or an Ellis and Kenny duo if something happens to Boyd. Hopefully not, because he is our Jack Shepherd. Now, I already talked about Elgin and Ellis, but I will just briefly discuss some of their conversations, like what I was meaning by Elgin being manipulative, like, because he brings up the baby, and Ellis like, what the fuck? How do you know about the baby? Like, what? Like, and then not only that, how insensitive it is, because in Ellis's mind, he thought he was having a baby, his wife was having a baby. Then it turns out, no, there is no baby. And then for someone to bring that up, why it's so fresh, like, yeah, the baby. Like, why would you bring that up right now? Like, Elgin, are you this effing stupid, dude? It's going to have to be a lot for me to forgive this. It's going to have to be a lot for me to forgive this. Because right now, you're making Sara look good. And we know there's a problem with that. So, I know. Some people may be listening like, how are you even still a little bit on Team Elgin's side? I don't know if I am. I'm just hoping they're, like, you can't tell me he's doing all this for nothing. I don't know. He's fucked up, whatever it is. I won't blame Ellis and Fatima for never speaking to him again. Because he's also a bad kidnapper. Like, okay, if you want to calm her down, talk to her. While she was drinking that blood and she was calm, why didn't you explain everything? Okay, this is what I saw. They told me this. Oh, he keeps saying, like, yeah, the baby's going to be safe. She keeps saying there is no baby. So she's saying there is no baby. Explain to her why you believe there is a baby. Anywho, and I'm all for Fatima fighting to her last drop. She's a fighter. All right, we get a conversation with Henry and Jade. I really like that one because Jade is like becoming, fan favorite number one. He's making so much sense, especially when he's not drunk. And he's talking to Henry. And Henry's like, well, Victor's not opening up to me, blah, 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 whatever they're talking about. And Henry's like, dude, Jade is like, he survived here for decades. Look at everybody else that's freaking out, and they've only been there for months. Some of them only been there for days, like the police officer. Some of them have been there for a year. But Victor was there for decades, for a very long time by himself, as a child. That had to be scary. So yes, you can't expect him to act the same as someone that's lived in the real world, that's communicated with living people the same as you would, because he's not. And I love the comparison that Jade's like, yo, he's like Tarzan. He survived. He made it against the all odds, and you're making fun of him or not making fun of him, but he's like, you're judging him because he doesn't know how to use a fork. Stop looking at his abilities that he doesn't have and look at the abilities he does. Tabitha's already told you, Victor saved my daughter. He saved me. He's trying to give you guys answers and no one's listening to him. So of course he starts bumping his head and getting frustrated. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, you can't blame Victor for how he is. And although Victor, I might have said shit, you know, in the past here and there about him, I can never see Victor as a villain, you know, and I'm not going to look at him as a victim for the rest of his life, like feel sorry for him, but he is a victim, but he's also a hero. So just respect it is what I would say. But I appreciate Jade having that conversation with Henry. All right, so Tabitha and Victor, let's talk about that real quick. Tabitha, when she talks to Victor earlier and touches him, and Sara notices something happens with Tabitha. Tabitha doesn't say shit, oh, nothing. Like, ugh, y'all getting on my nerves with this. But then later when her and Julie meet, or her and Julie are out looking for Fatima, and Julie says, like, yo, I don't think it was a dream. I actually really saw something. We were hanging there and screaming. There was an old man. And I was like, oh my gosh, Tabitha's going to know that this is what Boyd saw. So she's going to be like, oh, we kept this from you guys, but this sounds exactly what Boyd saw. And then I realized Boyd didn't really tell anybody. I don't know who knows that story, but obviously not all of them. So while Julie's telling Tabitha this, it doesn't even register for Tabitha to be like, let's go have a conversation with Boyd. But at the same time, they need to be having nightly meetings. Like how they had this meeting today on the drop of the dime. Every day before you guys close doors, like an hour before closing or 2 hours before you have to go inside, let's have a conversation of the days of the events of the last 24 hours. How hard is that? How hard is that? Heck, do it in the morning. Hey, y'all, what happened yesterday? Anything happened last night? Anything happened yesterday? Like, it's not that difficult. But with the monster kid telling them, come on, and everything like that, and then at the end, Tabitha freaking out, and rightfully so. I'm not saying she was freaking out like in a bad way, but with her like touching Victor again or hugging him and getting that flashback, now we know that she realizes it's not a dream. And now it kind of makes sense that Julie kind of put it in her head, like maybe something so scary to you. I would probably say it was a dream too. I'd probably like Boyd's wife. Like, this is a dream, y'all. We just need to wake up. I wouldn't be killing people. Like, if we're not doing all that, but I would probably be in denial too and think it was a dream. So to see that Julie thought it was a dream, and now the Tabitha gets these flashbacks, and I can't tell in this flashback if Tabitha is supposed to be Victor's mom, but no, because she doesn't even look anything like Victor's mom. Or I thought maybe she was the daughter. I don't know. I haven't looked up anything online, so maybe I'll go to a forum and it will be clearly explained what this flashback or this memory that Tabitha's getting. And then I'll be like, oh, duh. But I didn't want it influencing my thoughts here, so I'll start reading forums and theories later. But right now, at least upon watching, I don't know what to believe. I don't know if she's having a memory, or is she just seeing the past? Because she was freaking out real hard. So to me, it's more of, I didn't just see it. I mean, I would freak out too if I saw something from the past, that even though I had nothing to do with it. But I would freak out even more if I saw a past and it's a memory that I didn't even know happened, like a trauma event. And now I'm like, oh shit, now I remember this trauma event. And I always thought that it was a dream and I only had pieces to it. That's scary. That's scary. That's really scary. So yeah, that is all we got. This was a longer instant cast than normal. I know I was talking pretty fast, so hopefully you guys got all that. But I would love to hear your theories. Hit me up, host@theverdictsend.com. That's HOST @theverdictsend.com, or write me on Twitter or Facebook @theverdictsend.com, and we'll discuss it on the podcast. Until then, I'm Nicole. Have a good one.